Pregame.com.
Welcome back to Pregame.tv. I'm your host, Marco D'Angelo, joined in studio by Ken Thomson, SportsX Radio here in Las Vegas, and Yahoo Sports Radio. Ken, as we've been doing all summer long, we're previewing some of the teams for the upcoming season and talking about if we see value going with the season win total over under. And we're going to preview the Denver Broncos. And we all know the great season Peyton Manning had last year. One of the most, the offense, high energy, high production offense. Nobody could stop this offense until the Super Bowl. We saw what happened in the Super Bowl against Seattle. Did Seattle lay the groundwork for people to stop this, or was Seattle just one of those teams that were so far superior defensively that were able to do it that other teams can't, copy the blueprint, so to speak?
Well, one of the things that people are not really talking a lot about as far as the Super Bowl, very rarely in a Super Bowl environment will you have a decisive crowd advantage. Seattle had a major crowd advantage. That 12th man, they went out and they paid for those tickets. Normally, it's a corporate event where all the corporations have the tickets, they dole them out. So you get there, and there's maybe, 20% of, for both teams, and then you got 60% of corporate people that are there, like sipping their white wine and hanging out at parties. So this home field advantage last year in the Meadowlands for Seattle was different, and they made it known. And Manning really had a lot of trouble. And on the silent count, they had trouble just coordinating on that. They really didn't think it was going to ever have to come into play. They didn't even know half the signals. I mean, they botched several plays, but Seattle was prepared for the game. They were much better defensively, and that's what we said. We said when we broke that game down, if Seattle's front four could pressure Denver's front four without having to blitz, Manning was going to be in a lot of trouble, especially when they brought the extra guys in the nickel packages and whatever. And they were under duress the whole day. And Manning, boy, to see him that uncomfortable kind of reminded me of the early years when he went into Foxborough to take on the Patriots. I remember those being a Colts fan.
The happy feet?
Oh, boy.
And for those that don't know, I'm a big Steeler fan, obviously, and big Colts fan here with Ken, and of course all those years with the Colts, Peyton Manning. So you kind of transferred down. You're still a Colts guy, but
right. I'll root for Denver if like last year in the Super Bowl, just for Peyton, just because he's a class act and he's he was so loyal to the Colts, and he even wanted to come back. And Irsay just was torn. Do I pay Luck? Do I play Manning? I can't pay them both.
Right. And when I break down a season win total, the things you're going to look at is is the team intact? They're bringing the key people back from last year. Have they made improvements? And then we go to the schedule. Well, we talked about, how good this offense was last year. Honestly, I think this offense is going to be even better this year. They got him some more weapons. They lost Decker, but, they brought in my guy from Pittsburgh, Sanders, and I think they're going to have a even better year offensively. The problem in some of their games last year was the defense. It was a case of Manning just going out and outscoring the other team, and they didn't have a really good defense. They had some injuries at times last year, but they went out, made a few moves, most notably DeMarcus Ware. They got him. I think that's going to be a big addition. I think they made an addition by subtraction. Champ Bailey's not there anymore. Champ Bailey too often was getting burned. I felt, maybe held on a year too long in the league, whatever. I just don't see people stopping the Broncos this year.
I like the pickup of DeMarcus Ware. A bigger pickup to me is Aqib Talib, because he is that potential shutdown corner, and you get him away from the Patriots. That's another thing inside the conference. And then you also grab T.J. Ward, another guy. So they addressed the defensive side of the ball. That's where they were hurting in that Super Bowl. Yes, the offense got shut down by Seattle's D, but Denver's defense wasn't able to slow down Seattle's offense enough either to stay in that game. So I think they did the right thing. Like you said, Sanders stepping in, big move. I think Eric Decker is going to be saying, wow, it's a lot harder trying to catch balls from Geno Smith and Michael Vick than it was for Peyton Manning. And Emmanuel Sanders, I think he is going to be the beneficiary of playing with Peyton Manning. I think he's going to have a huge year, like you said. And then Noshawn Marino also left. Let me tell you something. Adrian James left, Dominic Rhodes left, and they all found out tough road to hoe when you don't have Peyton Manning, where everybody's concentrating on the pass. He makes running backs great.
Oh, absolutely. And usually it's the other way around. down. You want to establish the run to benefit, to get your passing game going. With Peyton Manning, it was in reverse. You got the passing game going, and then that opened up the running game for those backs, and that's a great point. Well, you know what, Ken?
All right, pal. This is a future play, NFL. It's your free play, Marco D'Angelo. Let's make it official, pal.
All right, I'm taking a look at this one, and I see that total of 11.5, and you're getting even money if you take the over. I'm going to go that way. And, generally with these big numbers and teams that everybody has the expectations on, it's generally not a great play to take the over. You're better off looking at the unders because you're paying an inflated price. But here, we're not. And I'll tell you what. Everybody looked at that Super Bowl and saw how they got exposed, and I think the stock went down just a little bit, and I think it's an overreaction. This is a team that, again, every week they've got the potential to go out and put 30 on the board, and there's not a lot of teams that can answer that. Yeah, there's some teams that got some defenses, but that's not against offenses like this. Peyton Manning is going to be able to move the ball consistently. I look at, now again, you always have the opportunity of a play being derailed by injuries. And, of course, if Peyton Manning would get hurt, you're in trouble. But you can't think that way when you're making a wager like this. The other point I'm going to say is look at the division. Everybody's talking about how good the AFC West was last year because Kansas City, first year, Andy Reid, how much the Chiefs improved. Talked about the Chargers, first year with their coach, how much the Chargers improved and made that run in the playoffs. Well, I'm going to point out a couple things. One, with Andy Reid, he inherited a team that couldn't be any worse than they were the year before. Everything went wrong that could possibly go wrong on and off the field. Turnovers, tragedies, anything that was there 2 years ago, the Chiefs experienced it. Last year, everything went perfect. And talk about catching a break. Andy Reid, all of those years he coached at Philadelphia, the NFC East. He knew that division inside and out. Who did the Kansas City Chiefs and the AFC West draw last year for their interconference play? They drew the NFC East. That was a huge advantage for Andy Reid in game preparation. He had the upper hand on those teams. So although it was a great record last year, I think it was done a little bit with smoke and mirrors. We saw at the end of the season the defense got exposed, and they're going to have trouble stopping Kansas City. Kansas City will have trouble stopping Denver, and I see a regression from Kansas City. Then let's throw in the San Diego Chargers. Yeah, they made a nice run. Everybody's happy about that and talking about them moving forward this year. Oftentimes when a team takes that jump forward, there's a jump back the next year. One of the reasons that the Chargers had some success is that it was a new coach and a new game plan, new scheme. People didn't know what to prepare for. Let's see now that after he's had a year in the league and what he was doing as a coach, how the teams are going to react, looking at the game film and preparing for the Chargers this year. I don't think the Chargers will be as good as they were last year. A lot of things went right for them. And then we've got the Oakland Raiders. I don't have to say anymore. It's the Oakland Raiders. I do like the pickup of Matt Schaub. I think that could have the potential for Matt Schaub having a big year with having no pressure on him going to the Raiders. We'll see if he has a bounce-back year, but still too many holes on the Raiders to be competitive. So then you go outside the division and look at the schedule. Yeah, they've got some tough games because they do draw the NFC West with Seattle and San Francisco, and of course Arizona's an approved team, and of course the St. Louis Rams, best draft of anybody in the NFL. But you look at the rest of the schedule. For me to lose this wager, I've got to find 5 losses on the schedule. If they split with the 49ers or the Seahawks, I think we're in great shape. If they lose both, then it could get a little bit dicey. But you've got that big revenge factor on that Seattle game. Denver's had that one circled on their schedule, and they're going to actually get to play Seattle twice. They're going to face them in the preseason. You're not going to see anything out of the Broncos in that preseason game. It'll be vanilla as all hell because they're not going to tip anything for that revenge game. But definitely, they got that one circled on their schedule. The other tough game they've got, of course, is when they go to Foxborough. One of the things, though, if you look at the schedule, they play the week before that on a Thursday. So that means when they play the game against the Patriots, they're going to have 10 days to prepare for New England. That's a big advantage for them. So I see this team as a 12-4 team at the worst, or a 13-3 team, and that makes me go over the total of 11.5.
I can't argue with it. I have Denver actually, early. I've got them going back to the Super Bowl. I just think the way they shored up the defense. I think New England's probably second best. Don't know about your Steelers, but right now I'm leaning that way as far as in the AFC North. I know Cincinnati has played well in the regular season. The Colts by default, although they missed Robert Mathis the first 4 games, and they opened Sunday night in Denver. The opener, I think Denver already played at -6, and I think it's up to 6.5, 7 pretty much everywhere, that opening line, but I already took Denver, so I think you're on the right side there. I expect Denver to be 13-3.
All right, there you go. Take the Denver Broncos over 11.5. That's it for this week's videos. We'll be doing these summer videos with NFL teams and college teams, telling you about the season win totals, and we'll also probably be handicapping some of the games, like Ken just said. A nice spot opening week with Denver against your Colts. You know that Peyton Manning will be high. You've got 2 things going in that one, and that should be a video we should be talking about maybe next week. Sure. With coming off get that bad taste out of their mouth, and of course playing against his former team. He's Ken Thomson. I'm Marco D'Angelo. We'll be back again with more videos for the upcoming NFL and college season.